for making the time to join us today. Now, it's Peter Drucker who once said, and I quote, "If you are not at the table when you are then you're probably on the menu." Now, every election cycle in Kenya, the voice of the youth has constantly been relegated to the periphery, yet they outstandingly remain to be a creative force. Now, a dynamic force of innovations, and have undoubtedly throughout history participated, contributed, and even catalyzed important changes in political systems, power sharing dynamics, and economic opportunities. Case in point in Malawi. But why is it diametrically different for our country, Kenya? Once again, that political epic time to change Kenya's history is here with us. A probing question is, come August the 9th, will the collective voice of the youth from the various political outfits make any discernible difference in our political landscape? To our panelists today, we are joined by Charles Lemain, who is the National Chairman, KANU Youth Congress. We also have with us Diana Mwangangi, who will be joining us shortly. We have here in studio Kennedy Ochieng Sankara of ANC, a youth leader, Sarah Jepkorir from CCM, and also we're expecting the KANU youth leader, Charles Lemain, to join us in a few. Now, thank you so much, lady and gent, for joining us bright and early. Now, like I said, you're either on the menu or at the table. Where do you think the youth of Kenya stand today? I'll start with you.
Thank you. For today, currently, we're still at the menu.
At the menu?
They are feasting on us. You know, in Kenya, we have a problem.
Yes.
People who are never allowed to be youths,
yeah,
or to exploit the potential that comes with the youthful age are now fighting hard to fully maximize what comes out of the youth bracket. You find someone who is 60 still sitting on committees where young people are seated.
Yes.
And you look at the technological advancement, diversity, and also the changing times. They are not at par with what we really expect from them.
Right.
Yes, so we're still at the menu, on the menu actually.
On the menu.
But we are moving towards the table.
Okay, yes. Hopefully, and we'll get into how we are actually moving towards the table. Sarah, are we on the menu or are we on the table, at the table, so to speak?
Okay, currently I'll say we are on the menu, because if you are still saying as a country we need youth representative in the parliament or this county assembly, that means that we have very few youth inside there. That means that we are in the menu. Yeah. If you were in the table, then we will be needing the older people to be the representative in the parliament and in the county assemblies.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. And Kennedy, what you have described is very critical to the Kenyan political dynamic and very, very, very real, because you're saying there are people who are denied the opportunity when they were young, and now that they finally got it, they are holding on to it for dear life. So it sounds like some kind of generational problem, generational curse, because how and what then would it take to break it? Because then it would mean someone has to sacrifice.
You know, the problem is they were denied an opportunity to become youths or to exploit what comes out of the youthful age. But they decided to feel contented with that situation and accepted to maintain the status quo. So for us, this generation, we are being denied an opportunity to express our youthfulness, but we are not allowing or bowing into that. We are really fighting back, and that's why we are moving. Actually, no one will invite you at the table. Exactly. It is you to carry your seat to the table.
And I'd like you to pause there. How exactly are young people being denied? Because we have a democratic system, we have, parties that claim to have youth leagues and whatnot. What is the problem when it comes down to it?
Fine. For youth leagues, this is for us like ANC, the youth league is semi-autonomous organ within the party.
Yes.
We have our own charter, we operate in our own way, but that conforms with the general expectations of the party. But generally speaking, the youths, we are being denied this in various ways. Number one, during elections, unfair political competition. People who have got financial muscles going into the field with people who've got wisdom. But I do say, as long as you're wise, some of these people, they don't have wisdom. Wisdom is better than riches.
Okay.
As long as you have that wisdom and he has the money, use the wisdom to eat his money and make him spend more.
Okay.
So we are being denied in various ways. You look at government appointments. For today, can you just show me? Because if we are bragging that the population of this country is composed of youths, being the 75%, then I expect to have one of the youths being a minister in this government.
Right.
Is that happening? No. What did the president say? The previous, he is on record saying that some of us are not reliable and therefore we cannot be trusted with the responsibilities. That is not the case. Why must you not entrust us with the responsibilities and you want to entrust us with the responsibility of putting you into those offices?
Now hold that thought. Sarah, what's your view on how we are being feasted upon? Because we keep saying that, but it's important for that to actually be explained. How does that translate in our day-to-day in the modern Kenya? What indicates, in your view, that young people are actually not on the table, they're just being used, basically?
By the number of the leaders we have,
okay.
If you look at the percentage of the leaders, the youth percentage is very low. Two is most of the youth that are, if you look at the university student councils, where do those students go? They go back home and then they come back when they are old enough to go for those seats. So that means that these youth are not on the menu, you know.
Right.
If they were leaders from the word go in those high school, university, then why didn't they transform immediately to leadership in the country? Then that means that they have no place.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what does that do to a society when the young people are disenfranchised?
You know, one thing they say, current issues need current methods of solving them. Yeah, and when you talk about youth, that means that youth have the current methods of solving the current issues. If you look at most of the issues, if youth were able to be involved in it, I believe the implementation of the programs will be easier, fast, because youth are vibrant.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you look at our country right now, we are making slow progresses. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we mentioned when we were starting this that youth have been instrumental in ensuring that change happens in our country, and of course, even being a catalyst. But being a catalyst doesn't mean going to the streets to protest. How, in what ways can young people actually be instrumental in ensuring we see change in Kenya? One of the biggest issues is the economy. Do we not have young economists? Do we not have people with ideas that can help us, get out of debt? Save for some who feel we should sell some things so that we can...
Perfect illustration or answer to your question is exactly what we're doing here. I'm not in the streets. I'm trying to share the little wisdom or knowledge I have with my fellow young people to educate them. To enhance their level of thinking and view, scope on various issues. So today, a lot of young people, the problem lies between policy formulation and policy implementation.
Right.
And that directs us to systematic institutional failures. Whatever has been institutionalized does not conform to the general expectation of the young people. For example, look at the punitive tax regime. Jobless people who sought jobs by contesting or running elective positions, courtesy of the youth support, are telling us to start businesses, while that business is unbearable. Before you can tell me to look for a business, is the environment itself enabling? I do take a perfect example of a young person who wants to start a water vending station. The clearances, and that really translates to even what the recently enacted bill in Parliament under Honorable Gideon Keter. I'm proud that I'm one of the brainchild to that bill. We had some discussion somewhere at the University of Nairobi, bringing in a Senate and 4 MPs. And from that discussion, a bill was drawn, and youths, we are no longer going to be asked to produce papers before we are guaranteed that we are going to get that job. So the problem lies between policy formulation and the policy implementation. They use the wrong people to formulate policies, and bringing the wrong people to enforce policy implementation. Definitely you miss the point.
Okay.
Yes.
We also, like I said earlier on, we also have Charles Lemaine of Akanu Youth Leader. Charles, if you can hear me, I'd like you to speak to the fact that young people are either on the menu or on the table. If you're not at the table, you are on the menu. In Kenya, what do you feel is the situation and how can we change it if it is less than ideal?
Thank you very much for having me. My thinking is when you try to compare the current young people from what we've been having from the past, I think we are at a place whereby we are getting closer to the table, if not on the table, because when you look at 2013, 2017, young people were not so much into the political arena, or their definition and role in politics was not quite defined. But looking at 2022, I see a lot of young people being involved, and this is thanks to the efforts of young people, those currently or those who have been there before. We've had a lot of struggles in the political arena, but I'm seeing a lot of growth when it comes to the involvement of young people. And this has been brought out by the young people in political parties, because you know the genesis of all politics is in a political party. So looking at it from being in the table, I see that we are progressing well, and I'm very sure in the next 5-10 years, a lot of young people will be in the political arena. Having us now being young people, I know at that time will not be young people.
If you can hear me,
yes.
You're talking about in the next 10-15 years, some of these people won't be youth anymore, and that's the same thing we were talking about moments ago, whereby we're having people sticking to power because when they were young they weren't allowed to take on certain positions, or they weren't empowered enough to feel like their voices can be heard. So if we're talking about solutions of now in this upcoming election, what can be done to have a shift that is significant, with minus waiting a whole decade down the line?
I think what can be done is that we should redefine the role of young people, especially in the political arena, because for a long time we've been having young people playing some roles of carrying bags for politicians, filling stadiums, and being on the streets. But I'm seeing with the population of young people, and also having young people gone to school, you see that more young people want to be involved in decision making, especially in policy making, and also in the political parties. And I'm happy seeing young people in political parties, because when you see the mainstream political parties now, most of them are being driven by young people, and the young people play a very critical role in the political parties. And thanks to the ORPP for the role of strengthening political parties. And go to the political parties. The political parties are being driven and every day are being inspired by young people. It's quite unfortunate that in the screens you might not see the young people in the political parties, but when you go to the respective offices of those political parties, young people are playing quite a critical role.
Okay. Now, I'd like to get back to you, Kennedy Ochieng, on the issue of something you raised earlier on. You said that what makes people think that young people cannot deliver or don't have something very important to bring to the table in terms of key positions of influence. Now, I'd put it to you that a lot of young people who have made it to some of these elective positions have not set a good example. Perhaps when they were in the past 10 years, when you look at their track records, some of their track records are criminal, some of the things they have done are not to be emulated, so then they don't set a good example, even the few that actually are in positions of power.
Very true. No, in ANC, during our earthquake, we said tusidanganyane. Tuambiani ukweli.
Okay.
It is true. When you sample out young legislators,
yes,
some of them are known to be agents of razzmatazz and bravado. They are not there, they are not principled.
Right.
They walk into parliament with an objective of elevating our positions today or situation. They go to parliament, the system swallows them. they go there and take party positions. Personally, I do say that I may belong to a political party,
right,
but that does not make me suspend my individual political consciousness to say something which is white is black. No,
okay,
I must stand for what is just, because it doesn't matter how much I praise you. You know, psychophancy is also a form, form of politics.
Yes.
But what matters most is how my support for you will elevate someone from their current position to the next position, which must be better than the previous position. So a lot of young people who've been elected have failed us, but that does not justify that we don't deserve it.
Okay.
We are, you know, success and failure is individual. Yes, they've failed on an individual capacity, and that does not mean young people have failed, because we also have senior people who have failed. Do we stop electing them because some of them have failed?
Okay,
no.
Sarah, do you agree?
I agree with that. Saying that the young people have failed, that means that the older people haven't failed.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that. Yeah, everyone makes mistakes. So it doesn't. You don't have to classify the mistake that it was made by young people. Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, someone made the mistake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, aside from that, I'd like to know from your perspective, when it comes to youth, we have that set of challenges, some of the things we've already talked about, and at the same time, as a woman in politics, there's another set of challenges. Explain that experience to you and what you'd like to see change when young women are trying to get into politics. Sarah?
Okay, the challenge that youth and women face in politics.
You're a youth, you're also a woman.
Yes.
So explain give us that perspective.
The biggest challenge is there is no equal competition. Yeah, equalization. Yeah, where for a woman to we can look in our own political structure in Kenya.
Right.
If you look at it, how many women are in politics? Or how many women got into politics and stayed for long? Yeah, so many women came up and then they disappeared after some time.
Right.
Yeah, that means that women have other responsibilities. We accept that fact. But then these women need to be given support, empowerment, and they need to be given an extra care or nurturing in politics, because women are diverse. We have more responsibilities than men, you see. For the youth, first I want to applaud the President of Kenya, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, for moving the Ministry of Youth from the culture to the ICT. It was a good move, actually. Youth should be placed in a place where they are being able to innovate or come up with new ideas. That was a good move. Yeah,
okay.
And I really like the progress.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, that is Sarah Jeff Korir, CCM youth leader. We also have here Kennedy Ocheng Sankara, NC youth leader. We have Charles Lemein, Kanu youth leader, and we've also been joined by Diana Mwangangi, UDA youth leader. We're going to take a short break. On the other side, we shall dig deeper into how political parties are creating space for the young people of our society to put in place change. Do stay tuned to Morning Prime.